Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a week hiatus, but we are live and we are back. Welcome to RJ Rennie Unhinged, weeks 4 and 5 NFL recap. My Packers are now 4 and 1, having a 4-game win streak coming off of that embarrassing loss week 1 to the Saints. And what a way to survive, honestly, in Cincinnati. A game that consisted of 5 missed kicks combined between the two teams in the last 3 minutes of regulation and 8 minutes of overtime. 5 missed kicks. Here's your fourth quarter into overtime timeline. The Packers have already gotten stuffed in the red zone twice in a row after a long completion to Devontae Adams and a long run by Aaron Jones, forced to kick field goals both times. The second drive, a long run to Aaron Jones in order to trying to respond to Cincinnati going and tying the game at 22. Mason Crosby hooks a 31-yarder or something like that, some 30-yard field goal, hooks it wide left. I mean, barely wide left, but I mean, still a miss from the left hash. Bengals get the ball back, and they go down, and on 3rd and 5 from about the Green Bay 45, they do a little inside zone play. They come up a yard short, and then they decide to kick a 57-yard field goal with a rookie kicker who already has 2 game winners on the year, one against Minnesota and one last week, the week before against Jacksonville. He doinks it off the right upright. Packers have a chance. Rodgers, one solid completion. Devontae Adams are already in field goal range. Sets up for a 51-yarder. The exact same distance that Mason Crosby hit the game winner against San Francisco 2 weeks ago. And what happens? He pulls it wide left. And again, barely wide left. So there's 3 missed kicks in the span of about 3 minutes of game clock. So now here comes overtime. Bengals win the toss, they get the ball. First play of overtime, Joe Burrow, anticipating his receiver to make a move, throws it right into the hands of Devondre Campbell, Packers' new star middle linebacker. He returns it down inside the 30, and after 2 negative run plays, Packers send out Crosby on 3rd down to win the game. Another about 40-some yarder, it's not that long, hooks it again. This one is further than the other ones. He hooks it again. Mason Crosby has 3 misses in this game after going like 27 in a row. Like, he didn't miss a field goal all of last season, and then he only missed a handful the season before. 27 in a row, and then this guy misses 3 straight. Bengals get the ball back. They put together a nice drive. They come up short on 3rd down, and they have a chance. They send McPherson out for another shot at the game winner. From the left hash, this man blasts it, and it looks like it's going straight down the middle. But then it just starts turning left in midair, and it hits the flag on the top of the goalpost, outside of the goalpost. No good. 5 missed kicks in the last 3 minutes of regulation overtime. Now, a play that not a lot of people are talking about because all they're talking about is the kicks, but on 3rd and 15 from the Packers, from about the Bengals 45, so they're not in field goal range, Rodgers is flushed out of the pocket, throws a little off-balance, moving to his left flick pass that Randall Cobb catches in between 3 defenders somehow. They don't give him the first down. They mark him about a yard short because apparently the line on the field was not correct. But nobody's talking about that play to set up the field goal. They're all just talking about, like, oh, Mason Crosby finally came through and hit the game winner, which he did. That play put them in position. Mason Crosby put it right down the middle. There's no doubt about it. So, but I mean, you want to talk about a game of survival. The Packers were down 2 offensive linemen, actually 3 offensive linemen, because Josh Myers was out, Eldon Jenkins was out for the 2nd straight week, and out for the 3rd straight week. I think he'll be back next week. And Bakhtiari is still out, but we only are going to lose him for 1 more game. He's unable to play until after week 6. So we won't have him next week against the Bears. After that, we should be able to have him, and our line will be complete. But the offensive line has been playing relatively well. Since week 1, they've been playing very good football and allowed Aaron to play good football as well. Aaron did have an unusual interception in the game on Sunday, but the defense created 2 turnovers in themselves. Like, the defense is playing well. The corners aren't necessarily playing the best, but Jair's hurt for at least 3 weeks. Eric Stokes has had a sensational rookie season. In comparison, I saw this graphic. Kevin King has been targeted 6 times this season, has given up like 130 yards. Eric Stokes has been targeted like 21 times and given up 115 yards. Shows you the difference between those 2 corners. So you had Eric Stokes was the number 1 corner going into this game against Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase had a bunch of receiving, but he had one play that was a 70-yard receiving touchdown that Savage was that close to knocking down and just didn't. And it was kind of a fluke thing, but that wasn't on Stokes. So that game was all about survival. Patchwork offensive line. No Zadarius Smith. Jalen Smith hadn't played yet. We just signed Rasul Douglas. Couldn't get Stephon Gilmore because of cap space. Kind of upset about that. However, the Panthers got a steal. Will be a fantastic replacement for J.C. Horn. Hopefully they can get back on track. Speaking of the Panthers, so we've talked about the Packers. They've survived. They're now 4-1. They have the Bears next week. Should be a winnable game. It's on the road. Should be a winnable game. Rookie quarterback, defense playing well, offense playing well. Offensive line just has to keep Khalil Mack out of Aaron's face, and then what's done is done. You're not going to be able to stop it. So, we just mentioned the Panthers. There comes a time in every man's life when he must admit he's wrong. I don't think I'm as wrong as the Panthers as I think I am. However, Sam Darnold had a Sam Darnold-esque game against the Eagles and wound up costing them the game. 3 turnovers is not going to get it done. He's like 0-21 when he has 2+ interceptions. And he threw 3 picks against the Eagles on Sunday. But unfortunately, I believe my Broncos have been exposed. I was high on the Broncos when they were 3-0. Now they're 3-2. They started coming alive late in the game against Pittsburgh, but by then it was too late. And Teddy Bridgewater threw a bad interception on 4th and goal when I think he would have had a chance to run it in. And that cost Denver the game. They still would have had to go for 2 in order to tie it, but I mean that gave them no hope of trying to tie the game. So the Broncos seem to have been exposed. However, they still have a better record than the Chiefs, who are now 2-3, and the Bills have been flexing ever since they got stunned by the Steelers. Pretty much, the Bills and the Packers have been doing the exact same thing. They both went into week 1s with big heads. The only difference is the Bills had a home game. The Packers had a road game. It was a weird road game, but it was still a road game. Against quarterbacks they thought were washed. Ben turned out later to be washed. And Jameis has a career of being generous. They both got upset in week 1. Packers more so and worse, and they got upset, by a worse score. Since then, they have asserted their dominance and beaten whoever's been put in front of them. Since then, the Bills have shut out, granted, it's been 2 very bad teams, but the Bills have shut out 35-0 the Dolphins and 40-0 the Texans. Then they beat Washington at home, Washington is a good team. They struggled against, Heineke had probably his worst game as a starter, and he still put up some touchdowns, but he also had some picks. I'm still high on him. I think he's going to be the guy going forward. I don't think they're going to, even if Fitz comes back this season, I don't think they're going to give him the reins. Heineke's been putting in work, and he's earned the chance to be the starter the rest of the way in a division that is still very winnable for that team. Their only competition at this point is the Cowboys. So they have to find a way to beat the Cowboys probably one time, and then they'll be golden. But I digress. The Bills have been asserting their dominance since then. Not only beating bad teams, but beating bad teams in a college way. Like, not even letting them score. It's been bad. And then they just went into Arrowhead and just kicked the shit out of the Chiefs. The Chiefs were outmatched since the first snap. And then Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if he's flustered, figured out. People were like, relax on the Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is not the same Patrick Mahomes that has showed up the past couple years. He is flustered. His game plan is being figured out. he's getting uncomfortable, and teams are taking advantage of it. It gives me a lot more hope going into Arrowhead later on this season because, I mean, now you have a game plan. Whether Joe Barry is smart enough to put it into play, that remains to be seen. But you now have the game plan to make him uncomfortable. The Chargers, the same way. They have been flexing. Another game of the year against the Browns, and the Browns got robbed on multiple occasions. That pass interference call, Mike Williams grabbed the corner and pulled it towards him. Nowhere near pass interference. They gave the Chargers another possession on fourth down. I mean, still a stellar game by Herbert. Buddy of mine gave me his MVP predictions this year. He said it was going to be Justin Herbert. And then the Offensive Player of the Year is probably going to be Kyler Murray. Now, before this week, I would have had Kyler Murray as my MVP favorite. Kyler Murray struggled a little bit or didn't put up as electric numbers against the 49ers who started a rookie quarterback. But he had one of the most insane throws I've ever seen to Rondale Moore on the sideline, where it's fading away, dropped it in, and Moore reached out, picked it up on the sideline. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's such a good catch. Such a good throw, such a good catch. Just it's beautiful football. But now Justin Herbert is a clear favorite for MVP. And the reason I say that is because he's beating actual teams. The guy over in Tampa Bay is beating the brakes off of shit teams. And the only good team he plays, he loses. Handedly. He went into Los Angeles and got his ass kicked. And that's a contender team. That is a good playoff contending team. He gets the Eagles on Thursday. I mean, seriously, he's gotten the most cream puff schedule so far to start this game, and he's been stat padding the entire way through. Not as stat padding as Lamar was on Monday, but he has been. That's why the stats are lying with Tom Brady. Justin Herbert has been beating good teams. He already walked into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, and beat the Browns. Struggled against the Cowboys, which is his only blemish so far. It's been an exceptional season for Justin Herbert so far. He's my MVP favorite 5 weeks in. Staying in the AFC West, John Gruden is out as the Raiders head coach. Woke cancel culture strikes again. Now, I will be the first to admit, I do not know the contents of the emails, but for some reason, why are these emails so important when Hillary Clinton's aren't, when Hunter Biden's aren't, when Fauci's aren't? Why are these the emails that are important? When these are 10 years ago, the rest of these are relevant to their time. I digress. Don't know the contents of the emails. Frankly, don't care. Number one, they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, he wasn't employed by the Raiders. He wasn't even employed by the NFL. He was an analyst with Mike Tirico on Monday Night Football. And Mike Tirico said on Sunday, he's like, never knew John Gruden to be anything but a good man. Never knew he had any racial motive whatsoever. And Mike Tirico's been known to push a little bit of a racial bias. Now, I love Mike Tirico. I think he does a fantastic job of what he does. I will give good commentators the benefit of the doubt. Gus Johnson is one of my favorite. Him and Kevin Harlan are competing for my favorite spot as far as commentators go. And by commentators, I mean like play-by-play broadcasters. Both of them, fantastic. Mike Tirico, just as good. Calls Notre Dame games, sometimes calls Thanksgiving games. Does great work on Football Night in America. Fantastic job. But even he admitted that Gruden had no racial motive when they worked together. And he's been known to push a little bit of that. But he resigns as the Raiders head coach. Now, to be quite frank, John Gruden is probably the most I don't give a damn coach in the league when it comes to, PC and all of that garbage. He strikes me as a guy who literally does not care and is going to do what he's going to do in order to get the job done. And he does it well. And it looks like everything was just about to start clicking, and then somebody got pissed off at him and wanted to dig up some dirt, and that's exactly what they did, and they forced him out. I think the whole thing's bogus. I don't give a shit what he said. It wasn't worthy of him losing his job. It happened over 10 years ago. People just got butthurt. He said a dude had the lips of Michigan. A dude's lips looked like Michelin tires. That's hilarious. I don't care who it's to. That's just funny. I don't think he deserved to lose his job, but he resigned. Nobody fired him. He just didn't want it to be a distraction. Good luck to Gruden moving forward. And, keep enjoying this football season. It's provided a lot. So, take care, and we'll see you next week. This has been RJ Rennie Unhinged.